week's episode of The Voice Party is brought to you by Big Boy Wraps. Get your car wrapped by some of the most experienced and skilled in the Bay. Big Boy Wraps, where the big boys play.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of The Voice Party Podcast.
Hey.
I was just looking at you to see what you were going to say. Yeah, the podcast where we talk to everyone about everything. That's the. We got to come up with some new shit, some new taglines, but that's what we're rolling with right now. I'm here with cold as fuck. I don't know. It's hot as hell outside, but it's fucking like a freezer in here. That's why I got the heater going right now.
It is 57 degrees.
I'm here with Joaquin. What's up, Joaquin?
Hey, man. How's it going?
How you doing, bro? Long time no see.
I'm good. It feels like it's been forever.
Yeah. And we got Corday stepping in as our guest co-host. He's still in his fucking what's it called?
Flannel and
no.
My 90-day
trial period.
My 90-day probation.
Yeah.
I thought you was calling him cold as fuck. I was like, oh shit, that's a dope ass nickname. Oh, that's what's up, man.
No.
It's just cold as fuck in here. That's what you mean.
It's a warm guy, like a teddy bear. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing good, man.
Yeah.
Just chilling, man.
Just chilling.
Just being here, enjoying the time.
What's up, Phil?
How's it going?
How you doing, bro? How's the board going?
It's going good. Board's at 78 degrees.
We got a very special guest. I want to say something about this guest, man. He actually used to be my boss. That's how I met him. Very cool dude, and I got along with him great. We worked for a while. I mean, it wasn't long, but we worked for a while. Introduce yourself, man.
I'm Rudy. I was your boss for about 3 weeks, huh? Yeah, a whopping 3 weeks.
Talk about blink of an eye.
Did he get fired? Was JD get fired that quick? That's what happened.
Hey, we don't need to get into details.
It's hard to get fired from unions.
It wasn't. It was like a month and a half.
Something like that.
I'm over here making it sound
I don't even
not as
remember.
bad as.
It was actually 6 weeks, not 3. All right.
It was a short call.
It was
Yep.
cool. It was cool, man. It's funny because like when I first went on, when I was working there, is when I kind of was starting this.
Oh, okay.
And we talked about having you. I talked about having you on, but then life.
Yeah,
then
life.
You fired me, so I'm like, fuck it, I don't want to talk to this guy.
Awkward.
Nah.
Yeah. But like I remember like when it first clicked, it's like, all right, like a short story, like. I remember us having a conversation about like sobriety,
Right,
and the stigmas, and the sobriety culture or whatever.
Right.
And I remember having that conversation, and at that point we were just like, we were using this to plug people's projects or whatever. And then I just kind of thought, man, I was like, let me just have him on and we can talk. Like just that in itself is a topic that affects. Everybody's got issues with some kind of addiction or some
absolutely.
kind of,
Yeah.
And it's like one of those things where like you're seen as like weak if you fall off here and there.
Yeah.
And that's not
really?
not the case, man.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so, but yeah.
So I feel like I have to get this out. Currently, I'm off the wagon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was sober again for 70-something days,
Okay.
and then just this weekend I felt like drinking again, and then drank again.
Yeah.
Didn't get smashed, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it is what it is. And for me, when I first entered recovery, I got to like 6.5 years of absolutely no alcohol, no drugs, no nothing. Right.
That's what you were going, like when I met you.
Yeah.
You were
I was
sober
probably
for
somewhere
6 years ago.
Yeah. Maybe like 5. 5 or 6, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was deep in it, you know what I mean? Like just recovery, everything, and then I met a girl, right? Isn't that how it always goes, right?
Yeah.
And she was struggling real bad, and eventually I ended up drinking also,
shit.
you know what I mean? So, and then that went on for like almost a year solid, and then just recently got back with it's like a romantic story, you know what I mean? My first love from 10 years ago.
Nice.
And yeah. So we're engaged now and everything. So it's cool.
Yeah, man.
Wow, recently,
Yeah.
Oh man, congratulations, bro.
We've only been back together
congratulations.
like 6 months. Thank you.
But like it's kind of like time just restarted, huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
How long were you together before that?
Almost 3 years, I think. 2.5 years.
Because they said if you reconnect with like an ex, it's like time just keeps.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I've known her like 20 years, so you know what I mean.
Wow.
Yeah. So things are going good, but she's sober, and here I am slipping up. So
Yeah.
we're not like real funkin' or nothing like that, but I could tell it hurts her. You know what I mean? So it's tough. You know what I mean? Recovery's a touchy thing, but you touched on the subject of how it seems like you're like weak if you slip up, and that's not the case. You know what I mean? It's just how do I explain it?
And that's part of the process too, right? That they say if you slip up, it's not like the end of the world.
For some people it is, and some people just get it the first time and they stay in it. You know what I mean? But it's not the end of the world. You know what I mean? So it's a complicated thing. You know what I mean? It's a complicated thing where your body can sometimes do it without you thinking that, you know what I mean? Without your permission almost. Yeah. You go do it and you don't want to, or it's wrong, but you do it anyway. Your body just automatically does it.
There's the urge. It's like sugar. Any addiction. Really.
Any addiction, because like for you, the drinking. Yeah. And I mean, I don't. For us,
it's the food. Yeah, you can say it. You can look at me and say it. It's the food.
Those triggers hit us, and then it's like. It's 11 p.m. The other day, I kind of had a trigger. I mean, it's different, of course. But like, I was going home and I DoorDash a cheeseburger and some chili cheese fries. So
DoorDash dangerous.
It is, bro. I gained weight during COVID. Like, you know what I'm saying? Same, dude. While I had COVID, I gained weight. A lot of people lost weight there. That's right. And like that day, I was just and just scarfed down all this food that I could have probably fed a family of 4.
Right. The funny thing about it, I think the same thing happened to me when I got COVID. I remember I was like ordering pizzas and stuff like that, but it was mainly because
I don't mean to laugh.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I know. But it was just like I was trying to force myself to eat something because I hadn't like really craved anything. Yeah. And so I was like, I need to eat. I was like, I'm not eating something. Right. I gotta eat something to kind of to have something in my system, because I knew I was probably gonna eat I ordered these pizzas. It was like for me and my little brothers and stuff like that, and they said like, oh, we kind of don't want to touch it. I was like, oh, okay, whatever, fuck y'all. And then I only eat like 2 slices. Yeah. But it was like I need something in my system to have something. But yeah, like I had a craving. Sometimes it'd be bad. I have like craving for Chinese food, and I'm like, why isn't there a 24-hour Chinese food spot at like 12:30 in the morning?
Petition and shit.
Yeah, I was thinking. I was like, they could make so much more money. But yeah.
No, yeah, and that's the thing. Like when you slip up, like what can happen, is because it's like for me, I know I shouldn't be slipping up with these little food last minute, binge eatings. I got everything, like blood pressure problems, heart problems, all this shit that I know, like you said, is bad. You know what it could cause, but. Is that fucking addiction just taking over, and you're like, fuck it, I'm getting a tub of ice cream.
And sometimes it's not even the binging that messes you up, like, because I'll give you an example. My Friday, you know what I mean? I wake up, I eat maybe, like it was like this past Friday. I thought, I'm doing so good. I had oatmeal this morning, great, and then I had like tea. All right, fine. I go to work. My coworker's like, hey, there's like donuts and coffee in the office. So I was gonna go and just get some coffee, maybe a little cream, and then I go
take a whiff of the donut.
A little bit of sugar's not gonna hurt, and then I go, all right, I get like the chocolate cream filled one, so I'm already fucking up my day, because they say that like 1 dose of sugar automatically adds on, like it reacts with your body, so and then like. Later on during the day, like after lunch, all I had was a grapefruit. I go to the after school program early, and then like one of the students was like, I brought you guys some candy. And they had like these sort of gummy candies that were like alcohol flavored. So they had tequila and rum and
what the fuck kind of like, what is this meeting? What the fuck?
It's not made with real alcohol.
No, but like, goddamn.
A kid brought this?
A kid brought this?
High school student.
Oh, okay.
But it's not made with real alcohol. Yeah. Apparently it's a popular Mexican style candy. I don't know what it's called.
Heard of that.
But like there's these little roly things, and there's like some are like rum flavored. But basically like and they're covered in freaking.
So you fucking saw it already ruined my day. Fuck it.
Yeah. So I had a couple there.
And that's what happens. Yeah.
That's what happens.
Yep. And then like later at games night, I had like a cheeseburger and a slice of pie, and then my whole day is And all I had to do was say no, and I kept saying yes.
Is when you don't stop with the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember my cousin. My cousin had his drinking was so bad he lost his family. Like they divorced and shit. And he now is changed, but like I remember that time I was around him with that time, and he used to do this joke at the bar because that's when I was first turned 21. He was older. He told me, you know what's the most expensive beer? I was like, I don't know, Guinness. I was like, no, the first 8. And then like the first 8 beers are the most expensive. After that, you don't give a fuck.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's one of those things that like, if you like. Can you just stop at one thing right now? Like that's where it gets hard. Yeah. You can just just stopping at the cheeseburger, and like you've been through the program already.
Oh yeah.
How like what was one of those things that they like? Because I've never been to any kind of program. I probably should have been multiple ones for multiple reasons. But like, what was one of the first things like how they kind of get you off of that? Because it's really the mind that they got to program.
Yeah, and that's what addiction is. It's a so they call it a disease because it's a malfunction of an organ that you have, and the mind is an organ. And you have, I'm gonna get scientific, even though I'm not a doctor. You have these pleasure pathways in your brain that keep you doing things like eating, reproducing, having sex, things like that, and you hijack them with chemicals, right? And so that becomes your brain's need to survive, basically. Things like eating, drinking water, reproduction. We're just animals is what we are. So now you've used chemicals to hijack that process. So the first thing in recovery is just abstinence first and foremost. Like you can't keep messing with those chemical pathways and expect to get better. You know what I mean? So
okay.
It's a tough process, you know what I mean? And so when I finally put myself into treatment in 2014, I had been going so hard for so long that it was a struggle. It was insane, you know what I mean? Every time I turned a corner, you don't realize how much alcohol is in your face. Mm-hmm. You don't realize how much drugs are in your face. You don't realize it until you're trying not to see it, you know what I mean? And then every grocery store you go into, every radio song that you hear, oh man, it's all over your brain, and it's really hard. I will say this, even though like I had slipped up this weekend, those like 71-ish days that I had since Thanksgiving, those are a lot easier than the first 71 I got in 2014.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Because you've already seen it.
Well, I wasn't running for decades. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like from a teenager on, you know what I mean? That was my life, bars and all that stuff. So, I did slip up again this weekend, but, that little 70-day stretch I had was a lot easier than the first 70 days in 2014. You know what I mean? And, so it's weird though. So, like I said, your body just will do it without even your permission. You know what I mean? Yeah. So,
and it is true what you say, man. Because like, I didn't even think about that when I stopped drinking, like, for like hella. Like, right. I mean, I used to get like a bottle of Jack, and that would last me a day. Like back in the days. Yeah. Oh, easy. Yeah, back in the days, like I can't do that shit. I had 2 beers at the show the other day that I did. That's my first show of the year that I did. 2 beers, and I was like, oh fuck. That was. So like my tolerance now is like it's not even.
We getting old, bro.
Yeah, exactly. And I can't. The stuff like how I used to do back then, like no way.
Yeah, your metabolism is definitely on the same level.
So like, but there's a point where like I stopped back then, and then I it's fucking in your face. Oh, you're watching a game or whatever, or a commercial comes on, Coors Light. Yeah. Refreshing, and you're like, just like they were talking about taking a whiff of the donut. That kind of shit. It's like, I think alcoholism is probably the hardest shit to get over, because like you don't. I mean, drugs, you do see it like in movies and shit, but you don't see it in everyday life.
Yeah,
right.
Just like food too.
It's also not. like drugs are not acceptable.
It's not socially acceptable
in public places to take a hit of heroin. It's like, well, when are you ever gonna have? You have to go and do all the trouble to get your privacy. To do that. Yeah. Whereas with drinking, you
could be drinking at a restaurant or you could be drinking at a park. And it's socially acceptable.
Made a social event.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And like celebration.
When you go,
celebration.
When you hang out with someone, what's the most common thing? Let's go get a beer.
Yeah.
And that's you don't think twice. If I hit you up, I've hit you up before late at night. Hey man, go through some shit. Let's go. Let's go to Ballard's. And it's like, no, it's not a thing. You would never ask, you have a drinking problem? And that's where it kind of
my mom always talks about this, like you said, a game, the biggest game that's coming up right now is the Super Bowl, and there's gonna be drinks there, and like how you said it, there's like Coors Light, Miller Lite, all this kind of smearing off and all this, and in the way they portray it, it's like socially acceptable, you're having fun, we're all like having a good time, but no one says like someone who could be like alcoholic and things like that, versus like you mentioned with drugs, it's like except kind of with weed, they're kind of making more of like a social thing, but it's still not put out there in the commercials the same. You don't see it always being reminded.
Why not, right?
And on top of that, on that level too, when companies drug test, they drug test for weed. Which is like a whole. I mean, I'm not over here. I know we got banned from social media for when we interviewed Rick Ross, the freeway Rick Ross. Yeah. We got banned.
You guys I didn't know that.
Yeah,
you had him on.
Yeah, we had him on.
No kidding.
The
real one.
He talked about the real one.
Yeah.
He talked about for him it was crazy that he was selling drugs. He's in jail for life for drugs, and now he's free selling weed legal. There's guys in jail. So what I was gonna say is the drug tests that the companies take, I know alcohol is legal and shit, but weed, it doesn't have the same effects.
Also, it's a question of, are you showing up to work sober?
That's the thing too.
That's important. Sobriety on the job.
That's in the industry that we were in too. That we were working together. You hurt somebody. You know what I mean?
And when I was working at the other project, I saw a lot of that, man. I didn't realize how many people get drunk and there was accidents because of that shit, and it's crazy. It's crazy, and so that's where it is. It's dangerous because it's accessible. Yeah. Because I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I want to answer this, but when was the first time you drank?
Ooh,
because for me it was I was able to get my hands on it.
I was older.
Easy.
I mean, my dad, he's
not at home though, just with friends, and shit,
Gosh, probably 17 years old.
Okay.
Yeah. And I hated alcohol. I thought it was the grossest thing in the world.
Same.
Wow. And then I had to force 3 beers into me, and I was like, oh, this is fun. You know what I mean? And then once that happened, it was just like coffee. I thought coffee was gross, and now it's you know what I mean? I need that stuff in the morning.
Yeah.
But I had to break the ice with it to get to that level of its effectiveness. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Once I got those 3 beers in me at 17 years old, it was okay.
Yeah.
Now I just gotta get past that gross taste.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Just you develop it. Yeah. And then your brain starts to make that association of fun with it.
Yeah. So they say a heroin addict loves the sting of a needle after a while. You know what I mean?
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
So,
deep. And let me ask you this: when you are at a restaurant with friends and family, or at a get together. Mm-hmm. And there's drinks around. Does it make you feel like an outsider?
Sometimes, yeah. You know what mostly makes you feel like an outsider is how sociably acceptable it is, and how it's almost expected. Mm-hmm. And so when you go somewhere and they're like, "You want a drink?" I'm like, "No." Nah. And like a barbecue for Super Bowl. Yeah. And you want a drink? And I'm like, "Nah, I don't drink." And they're like, huh? And they look at you hecka weird. Yeah. That's what makes you feel like an outsider. And then in my brain, I'm going, man, I wish I could just do it like you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Once in a while.
And a Super Bowl barbecue, and then spend the rest of the week going to work. Yeah. You know what I mean? Normal. Yeah. But my brain goes, nah, let's do it. Let's do more. And then it's they call it chasing that dragon. So I'm just trying to hold that buzz forever. You know what I mean?
It makes you wonder, back at hundreds of years ago in older societies and civilizations, people couldn't drink water because it was filthy, so they would drink wine or beer instead.
Or they would dilute the wine into the water, so they would kill
the bacteria. So it makes you wonder, what was it like for alcoholics back then? In ancient Egypt, we're screwed, huh?
Yeah,
I don't think it was as easy then. So I was listening to, I can't remember what, but they were talking about the same thing.
Excuse me.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
And they were saying those alcohols were only like 3% or something.
Like hella lower levels.
Like lower than our beers are now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
that's
like the average beer.
Yeah, because the beers, the grain like weren't as potent as they are now. So like it wasn't anything.
It was almost like a near beer that they were drinking.
I was thinking more like in like European times, like in the castles, like when they're having like these huge like events and stuff like that.
Well, that's what they did. Like a lot of the kings did have health problems. Yeah, because they eat all that the fuck they want.
Yeah,
there's this YouTube channel where they show you. This dude, he goes to show you what ancient people ate and like, you know, all these different civilizations. And one of them he did was like the English, and he showed like a peasant's meal. It was like whole grain bread. That was
probably something hella healthy.
Yeah, and all kinds of seafood because that was accessible to the poor people. And salmon and like the usual late night drink was a fucking ale, a brown ale. And then he showed what like the king would eat. It was white bread. With like usually some kind of bird. It was just boiled and like hella like just unhealthy shit, but it was rich people shit, you know? So it was all backwards. So and then supposedly the kings would be super unhealthy. They would have a guy that takes his piss. If it was sweet, he had diabetes. Like that's
what?
Yeah,
I think I heard about that. I think I heard about that. Yeah. I think I heard about that. Yeah.
So that's how supposedly they used to check for diabetes. Because like it supposedly
sugar content.
If the pee is sweet, your kidneys aren't taking doing what they're supposed to. So that was crazy to me to hear. Like, you know, like how peasants were healthy because they needed to be. They fucking work all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
But what I was gonna say is like I think also like because compared to like other countries, like there's like in Mexico, you know, you're Mexican too, right? Yeah. Over there, they fucking drink since they're like 12.
Oh yeah.
And like it's kind of like.
That's what I was going to say too. Is like I remember being young and my dad being like, "Try it," you know, what I mean? And me being like, like gross.
That's how a lot of us tried it. Like
first times for dad, uncles.
Uncles would laugh at like one of my uncles. He would laugh at the way I tasted like the beer. Like, look at his face. It was funny, and I know over there how they party. They party hard and they drink hard. So like. I don't know if it's us here that we have like, you know, like once someone is drinking too much, they kind of like they make you feel weird about it. And I'm not fucking I'm not over here advertising for people to drink like that, but like even in European countries and like other countries, like they drink almost every day. You know,
glass of wine.
The pub culture, like they, you know,
beer, Guinness, all that sort of stuff every day after work. I mean, it's like in the States, they go to the bars after work. There used to be a thing here.
Teachers, it's like big alcohol drinkers because it's like the stuff you have to put up with.
Stress.
Yeah, the stress of it.
What was that? I forgot. It was like they're in offices smoking cigarettes and taking shots. You know, like
Office Space or something.
No, like in back in the days. Like,
because like back in because they thought like smoking was like a healthier thing instead of
like in Mad Men, which is a show about an advertising agency in the late 50s and 60s. Every scene when someone goes into someone else's office to talk to another executive, they're drinking. They're pouring up the brown liquor. And they're just having I wish I could walk into the principal's office and be like, well, this kid's having some trouble today, and the principal would just pour me some bourbon. That'd be nice. No.
The thing that gets me too
children
is whenever someone's going through like some kind of addiction, is and let's say someone in your family or your group makes you feel bad about it, right? But then they also like everyone's got some form of addiction.
Everybody.
I gotta go to the bathroom and fucking look at this porn and jack off. Like, I didn't realize how extreme like addiction was until I became an adult. You know, like if it's not this, it's this. For me, I'll say it's food. You know, like for sure. You know, that's at least one of them.
I mean, I still use nicotine and I've never been able to put it down. You know what
like
I mean?
smoking.
That's a huge one. That's a huge one.
And then being in where I work, you can't really smoke, so I start chewing. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So it's one, and that's been the hardest thing ever.
That shit gets you.
You gotta watch out for the cancer then.
Yeah,
for real.
Either way, but even when you're chewing.
Yeah. For real.
Yeah.
I used to play baseball. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. And that's the thing too, is like I can pack a dip and I go to put it in, I'm like, this is bad for my lip, you know what I mean? And I know it, and I'm thinking what you just said, cancer and stuff, and have I stopped? No. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The addiction just makes you do it. It's weird.
I like in baseball, like my homie, like I was always doing like I used to always think athletes are chewing like bubble gum.
Right.
And it's like, nah, it's chew, like you were saying. And then one of my homies, like I stopped playing baseball and I started playing football, and he was still playing baseball. And then he was like, oh, I got into chewing because of Coach such and such, because he would chew, and then he would give me some in a little dip. And then then I used to have like a water bottle for my homie, because he was like, hey, you got a water bottle for me? And it was just like spit.
And then you're just carrying it around.
Just carrying it around all the time. And then like we found out in like I think the 10th grade how bad chewing tobacco is, but then more the emphasis was just on smoking. Like smoking is bad for you, but then like chewing was like you could lose like your jaw, like your teeth and stuff like that, but it's not much of an emphasis on that, and it wasn't even covered. And I was like, hey dude, ain't you chewing? He was like, yeah dude, but I can't put it down. He just be like doing just like, yeah, so we just about to fucking
I had a grand aunt that died of that in the 90s. Like she was always snuff and chewing tobacco. She loved it. And my grandmother, her sister, would often go and drop her off. I got to give Aunt Sudie a snuff, even though it's probably going to kill her. And then 1996 happens. Oh man,
yeah. That, and what's crazy about that too is like, well, for example, I just watched this movie about this dude. He actually, it was an author. He actually committed suicide like later on, but they made a movie about him because at one point he was like hella into drinking, and then he messed around with heroin at one point. He recovered, and then it was always something. And then he wrote this like one of the longest books ever. Yeah. And what he talks about in the movie, like that's kind of what they made it about, is like it wasn't like he was at a point where he could be around alcohol, he wouldn't care, because I guess he realized that it wasn't so much the things is the stuff that you kind of escape. Right. Once you realize that, it's not going to be just the alcohol. It'll be, at one point it was the writing. That's kind of what he got himself into, but it kind of became, because he was always trying to escape something. So they're just, so it could be anything. Yeah. Yeah.
They got a word for it. Cross addiction. So you just substitute for another thing. Yeah. Sometimes it's healthy. Sometimes people cross addict with like exercise. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then sometimes people switch their drug. Yeah. So
it's crazy.
It's a mind fuck, man.
And you wonder, is this just a modern problem? Like back in the days, it wasn't. Maybe it wasn't diagnosed, but like, they didn't have time for that shit.
I don't think. It was accessible then.
Yeah. I mean, back in the day, like even though as you mentioned, a lot of stuff wasn't accessible. Like you talk about exercise addiction, it's like you were out there hunting and fishing.
You didn't have time.
You were constantly exercising, so you wouldn't even know if it was an addiction. You're just like, maybe some people like chasing boar more than others. I don't know why Uncle Friedrich likes going into the woods and chasing freaking boar. I'm tired. Shut up, Fetzel.
Exactly.
Hey, for you right now, like, do you feel like starting like does this sound like a hassle to go back into the program?
So it was Thanksgiving. I relapsed pretty hard. It was like a 4-day thing leading up to Thanksgiving when I stopped. Oh shit! And it was drugs, alcohol, all kinds of stuff, and put me in a point where I was just like I don't know how to explain it, like stuck to it. So we all know like the hair of the dog, right? You're hungover the next day, you have a Bloody Mary, start feeling better. Well, when you're drinking that hard, it's almost like you have to have it just to function. Yeah. You know what I mean? And get them shakes going away and stuff like that. So that's the point I reached. So I did go back to meetings and had to face some people that I've known for so long, you know what I mean? And it was nerve-wracking. I'm like, in the back of my head, they're gonna look at me like I'm weak, right? Like I screwed up, but they're believe it or not, they're open, welcome me in with open arms, again. And then I don't know why, but this weekend, I did it again, so I'm gonna have to face it again, go back. The good thing is this weekend I didn't and I'm not trying to just like justify my actions or not like that, but I did kind of sip. I didn't get smashed. I didn't wake up with a hangover. I didn't go crazy. You know what I mean? So it's hard to explain. Like I'm glad I'm not in that like that mode where I almost need like medical attention. You know what I mean?
Like you're giving yourself like Scooby snacks instead of actually just pouring that shit down your throat all the way.
Okay. Right. So it's slip up, and my biggest thing right now is as I mentioned earlier, being engaged and stuff. She's been sober for 3 years now, and she's the type of person who just was like, nope, I'm done. I got a problem. Putting it down. And just walks away. No meetings, no treatment facility, nothing. She just can do that. And I'm like, God damn, she's strong. You know what I mean?
No, for real.
And the hard part is that she's got a son, and there's some male figures in his life who struggle with alcohol. So that was my main thing of putting it down. Was like, I'm not going to be another male influence to him. You know what I mean? But then it's a struggle, you know what I mean? Like I'm a drug addict, I like substance that makes me feel different. So I don't want to be that to her or her son, and then talking to her about what's happened this weekend, I see her heartbreak, you know what I mean? And that's the hardest part of it all. You know what I mean? It's not even that I'm worried about me drinking or anything like that. That's
feeling like you let someone you love down.
What I've heard people say when it comes to how you reframe your mind I think I've heard damn, I forgot, his professional wrestler, I forget his name, but he talked about like, instead of thinking it's something I got to get over, I just got to accept I'll always be an alcoholic.
Stone Cold Steve Austin?
No, I think it was Jake the Snake. I don't know if you've seen that documentary.
Right.
No, I haven't. The Resurrection of Jake the Snake, where he basically,
that's that era I used to watch too.
Yeah. So it's a good,
the best era.
It's actually DDP helping him.
No way.
Yeah,
wow.
and he joins like his program for yoga and all that. Right. And he kind of he slips up like a couple of times. Right. One time when he goes to Vegas, But no, sorry. When he goes to Vegas, that's when he knew he was like, oh shit, because he Vegas.
Oh yeah. yeah.
So he said he slipped up, but he told him what he slipped up with pasta, because he went to his Frank Sinatra's.
Right.
But that was like where he was at that point, and but he talks about how I'll always be an addict. So even though I haven't drank in like 20 years or whatever, I'm still an addict. Right. Like I still got to remind myself that that's
right. It's not safe for you to try,
Right. So that's where it's that's where it gets like, because look, I definitely have toned down my drinking, but like and I go hell long without drinking. And then like last week since I recovered from COVID, like I mentioned to you, I've been like having a drink every day, and I notice it's more and more every other day. So then that's when I kind of like,
that's my thing too. Like I was saying, like I'm glad I didn't get super smashed or nothing. But if I continue this, you guarantee, I'm gonna get there, and then I'm gonna get some powder that keeps me going. You know what I mean? And it's just gonna snowball.
And you know what I noticed with like the like you mentioned, like you go to like. I have family members who struggle with this, and this particular family member, I don't want to say who, but like I noticed the thing with him when at family events he won't drink, but when he's by himself, it's like
it's addiction,
and that's where
isolate,
and that's where it becomes kind of dangerous. Where like shit, I'm when I'm by myself,
there's no one to help you if you're bottomed out.
And when you're doing it, like I drink in front of family, I actually have a joke about that.
Okay,
but like. It's like when they see me, and if I'm sometimes back in the days when I would do, they're like, hey, like it's fucking 5 a.m. Why are you making yourself a cocktail?
Oh shit! He's like, because it's 10:30 at night somewhere.
Exactly. Yeah.
So trying to take this edge off.
Yeah. So I think you can kind of. You trying to do it not in front of them or whatever, but it can become dangerous when you're not when you're not in their eyes.
That's totally a part of addiction, is the isolation. Once you reach the point where it's a negative thing, you don't want people to see it. Especially family members, things like that. You know what I mean? So
then it get worse.
That's crazy. And
then you're doing it by yourself because you're hurting somebody else, and you don't want to hurt them or let them see you like that. So you end up doing it by yourself.
And have you been on the other side of that? Like, because I've been on the other side with drug addiction.
Oh yeah.
One of my best friends. Like it's crazy because I saw him go from like, just doing, all right, so like in the music scene, back when I used to hang out with a lot of musicians and I, open up for them with stand up, it's a big thing, like, bumps, little bumps, before show, you drink too much, a little bump. And I saw, I was around that, and I kind of seemed normal. I mean, in that world, we're hanging around
bars that I was hanging out, it was normal.
Exactly, yeah. And then he snowballed into doing heavier shit. And by the time like I saw him, like the last times I hung out with him, he was fucking. He had just like he went to the bathroom. And he let me know he snorted heroin. I'm like, oh fuck, And that's when I saw it. Like, oh shit. And that's where like I think about whenever. I don't know for you, but like, have you been on that side where you've seen? Yeah.
So like I was saying, I had met a girl and we were together for a little over 2 years, and me and my dad ride our Harleys to the Sturgis, South Dakota motorcycle rally, the big one every year. And
I saw you posted about that.
I've been there 4 times sober, and it's a party event. You know what I mean? And 4 times sober.
Kegs up the ass.
Just everything everywhere. You know what I mean? And so I'd been there 4 times sober, not, of course it like dawns on me, like, man, everyone's partying, like, but I was strong then. And then I met this girl, and she had a hard problem. She was a hardcore alcoholic. I mean, to the point where I caught her with like mouthwash and
oh shit.
I mean, even
food coloring.
Close. It's vanilla extract.
Oh fuck.
Yeah, and then
vanilla extract.
It has alcohol in it. It's it's just got some, and when you're that bad, sometimes
cough syrup or anything.
I don't think. So I was trying to help. I had been sober for 5 years and was trying to get her into meetings and stuff. And I think kind of what happened is it went the other direction. She pulled me away from that stuff, trying to help. And,
you went out to save a drowning woman and she pulled you under.
Exactly what happened. You know what I mean? But I can't blame it on her because these are decisions that I made.
For sure.
And I stepped away from recovery. You know what I mean? So. It's tough, and then it's been a rough couple years since then,
In recovery, like in AA and that sort of thing, did they advise you not to become intimate with other addicts?
In 1 year, yeah.
In 1 year?
Well, just with anybody. They say not to change, not to get together in your first year, basically. Don't get in a relationship because it's too big of a step. You know what I mean? And feelings get hurt, and we know how to resort to what makes us feel better.
Okay. Yeah, okay,
that
makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I was like, in recovery, I was like, why not sex? But you was like chemical, the drug kind of thing. So, and then also like that person could probably bring you to
swapping one addiction for another.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's when and you have, like, what was it called? Sponsors, where you call someone when you're going through?
Yeah, so I don't want to talk too much about the anonymouses because they are anonymous. Yeah. And but the thing is that it's a 12-step program, and the sponsor has already worked the steps, and now it's to show the next person through the steps and work with them through those steps. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Now, when you are in an anonymous program, are you essentially there for life, or is there sort of a graduation where you're like, I've completed all the things and now I'm out, unless you choose to mentor, or everyone's just in there for life?
In there for life. Yeah. Okay. It's your addiction isn't going to go away.
That makes sense.
And it's a lifelong thing that we got to work on. And when I'm not working on it, we see what happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get caught up in it again. So, and the problem with me was, it felt like high school again. The people who've been around for a while, they start clicking up and felt like an outsider, you know what I mean? I didn't really fit in with all the people. And then also they've got some sayings, you know what I mean? Small cliches like one is too many, 1,000 is never enough. And you hear them regurgitating that nonstop and talking, and I just got
like cultish.
Yeah. Well, actually in the book, one of the things says it is sort of occult and esoteric, you know what I mean? It is, but that doesn't have to be a bad thing either. Yeah. You know what I mean? The word cult doesn't mean a bad thing.
For sure.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It's associated with a lot of bad things. Yeah. You know, but it is, and I got burned out of people regurgitating these sayings and then also the cliques and stuff, and it felt like high school again. Felt like an outcast in a place where I was supposed to feel welcome.
And then I'm sure there's like an elitist mentality, like I've been sober for this.
Oh, most definitely.
You've only been sober for 38 minutes.
Yeah. You know, there is some of that, but also you will see them doing the right thing too, where somebody comes in with one day and they're praising them. You know what I mean? Like, you made it. You made it one day. You know, when we've all been to that point where we couldn't make it 1 hour. You know, so So, I mean, it's a good place. You know what I mean? It is a good place, and it helps a lot of people.
Would you say, after having been there for a while now, how long have you been in?
So I haven't. I kind of started stepping back into it recently over this last like few months that I was sober until I messed up this weekend. But and I say messed up. It is what it is. You know what I mean? It sucks. But anyway, before that, you asked how long, right?
How long have you been in the Anonymous program?
So total from 2014. So we're looking at 8 years. But there's a good gap in there where I didn't go. I didn't practice their stuff. You know what I mean?
Would you say, after having gone for a certain amount of time, that you felt accepted eventually, or is that feeling of...
Oh, no, you feel accepted immediately. They welcome you very well.
I just meant with the cliques you were describing. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I bumped my coat.
Honestly, no, there's very few people that I felt really connected with. And that's partially my problem, you know what I mean? But also, when I quit going, maybe 1 or 2 people checked up on me. Okay. You know what I mean?
Well, that's something, someone made a couple connections there.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. But you really start to see that all these, what do you call it? Acquaintances. Not so much friends. For sure. You know, you start really seeing how much they're about their stuff and not really about, they are about recovery, but also you start to see how much you really weren't, friends with these
Part
people.
Of the team. Yeah. No,
man,
that I don't know. I've never shared this before, but I just posted the thing on Facebook, on my Instagram, that I've been doing. Doing shows since 2012. That's when I started doing stand up. From 2012 to 2019 or 2018. Every time I would perform, I had to have like 3 or 4 drinks in me. And that's for the first time in 2019, I did comedy sober, and I did it way better than I've ever. It's crazy. I don't know if I ever told you this. I started like a year. You started like a year before I did, kind of.
I remember when I used to go to shows, I used to see you kind of like fucked up. And I'm like, hey JD, you good, man? Like, what's up? He's like, nah, dude, I only can perform with like 2 or 3 beers. And I'm always so like in my house, I grew up in like a dry house, and then like I never like I used to be so nervous that I
buy you a shot, Corday. Let me buy you a shot.
Yeah, right.
That was me to him.
But I was like, so I'll get like a shot, right? But then immediately after that, I'm like, I don't want to perform too drunk, because I would always hear stories of like somebody's up there just like fucked up, and then so it will switch from I'm nervous to perform to like, oh fuck, I don't want to be fucked up and then fuck up because of that.
Like your nerves was messed up either way.
Yeah, so it was like, so then I was like, you try like a few stuff here and there, and then like the hangover. But then I know one thing, I could never perform high. Like that's something I couldn't do. And then I think it was like Eminem. I was like looking up, and they were saying like, most of these performers are really nervous and scared when they're on stage, so they're usually fucked up when they go on there because they have stage fright. And I'm just like, well, I don't have stage fright. I just have my fear is messing up. Right. Like I might have something to take the edge off or something like that, but I'm not gonna be like hella fucked up over there, because I don't want to be like, because I don't want to be like one of the favorite idols, like, damn, he used to be hella good, but then like he just like start drinking way too much.
That was always a fear of mine. Yeah, and that's but. Fuck, like every show from 2012 to 20, always like, and then whenever I would hear someone say, man, I don't want to be fucked up, I'm like, that was in my head, I would think that, like, man, but then I noticed like, oh shit, like it's because I had those moments where like, look at that idiot up there just babbling. That's how I kind of I would always say, every time I'm up there I forget my jokes. And that's why I was forgetting my shit. So that's why I saw like, like goddamn, like that's what it was. And now that I remember the first time I drank by myself, not like I snuck a beer at a family party when I actually went going out with friends, like how that snowballed eventually, and my whole life I was like, drinking is just a normal part of life.
Yeah.
And that's what I thought of, until you do something not drunk, like, or you take time off of something, like, fuck, alcohol is one thing. Like, I remember also, like, just going a week without meat. Yeah, you notice a difference in your fucking body. You know the difference. Yeah. Holy shit. So that's what I started thinking about more, because I've always been very dead set on how I do everything, and I never thought of, I always thought I'll never stop drinking alcohol. Yeah, like I don't know if you ever had. I'm sure you had that where, like, I can't. I'll never stop it.
Not never. I think I've always had it in the back of my mind where, like, I have to be sort of, I don't know how to explain it, like, in control. Like, if I felt like that, then I know I'm lost. Basically, does that make sense?
Yeah. No, for sure. And that's
which is which is how I got into recovery in the first place. Was I knew I was lost. I was stuck. I was a prisoner of this. So I did what few people did and enrolled myself. You know what I mean? This wasn't family. This wasn't. Oh, you did yourself? Yeah, I was just like, I've lost control. You know?
And that's kind of how you have to approach it too, right? Because if you aren't willing to do it yourself, 100%. No one's gonna pull you out of it.
100%.
That's well, like, I want to call it right now. I want to do a follow-up episode in like 6 months. All right. And because like myself, man, it's we did a whole documentary on some of my shit, and Phil's over here like, what really changed. It's hard, man. Change is hard as fuck. Yeah, it's always easier to clean someone else's house than your own.
Absolutely, man.
Oh yeah,
that's real. That's real.
Yeah,
it's super easy to give somebody else advice too.
Exactly.
Like, I can like
right advice.
Yeah, like I can like give you some good advice. I can help you, and they'd be like, "So why can't you fix yours?" I'm like, "Hey man, I know. Hey, don't win.
Hey man, you ask too much questions.
It's like I'm happy with my misery.
Yeah, like my uncle, he just passed last year. Was had like a lot of bouts with like drugs and like abuse and things like that. Yeah. And then like I remember he used to always give me advice, and I used to never want to take it. And my mom had to sit down and tell me, she was like, whenever your uncle gives you advice, you should really take it. I was like, why? He's in a messed up situation. And she was like,
that's why he knows.
And then she was like, yeah, but she was like, he's probably he's the smartest, like, because she has like, she has four sisters. Well, she's one of 6 kids, so she has 3 sisters and 2 brothers. And she was like, he's the smartest one out of all of us. I was like, Mom, but how you can say that? Like, you're RA? She's like, no. He's super smart. It just like this took like control of him, but he's like one of the smartest people I ever know. Yeah. So he's telling you this from a standpoint of like,
in history have been that.
She's like,
I was about to say that is being in those rooms of the anonymous programs. A lot of those people are intelligent, super intelligent. Yeah. I think one of the things is sort of like ADD, like where things are too simple. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you just understand things too much, so it's got to be fixed with a substance. Does that make sense? Like, yeah. You know what I mean? You got to
too boring.
Yeah. Too boring. Right.
And sometimes, a lot of those people, like, they're super brilliant, but something happened, and that's torturing them. Yeah. That's why they're drinking.
Oh, for sure.
And there's a lot of stuff like that.
PTSD things.
Yeah.
When you look at ADD, what do they prescribe to fix it? They're giving kids pure amphetamine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? 100% pure amphetamine to fix their ADD problem.
Take your Ritalin, children.
Yeah. Right.
And I always like feel weird about giving like kids like ADD medicine, stuff like that, especially because I'm a teacher too. So so it's prescribed a lot to black kids when it's really just like, the teacher just can't control this kid or doesn't know how to relate to him. So that's how like they're always like, he needs like ADHD and stuff, or ADD medicine. And I'm just like, does he really need this, or is it like he's not getting? It's something here that he's not getting versus like you're prescribing him immediately, and then it's
right away. Just say that.
Like right away. It's like, he has attention deficit. I'm like, or maybe you're just not
just
like
a kid.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It's a kid that
because everyone learns differently.
Still growing up.
Yeah, everyone learns differently, and like, man, that's like one of those. How to explain it? Like, a lot of stuff I wish I probably would have learned, and if I would have paid attention the way they were teaching, I didn't learn until I was an adult. Yeah, and like there's some stuff that I'm pretty sure people get prescribed like, yo, I have depression. Like, okay, here's what we're gonna prescribe to you. And it's like, that's not the solution. You know, I know right now, we talked about this before. Psilocybin has been growing for.
It's got a huge.
It's legal in Oakland now, right?
Decriminalized.
Decriminalized. Okay. And like, there's other methods now finally like kind of talked about, because like everyone heals differently, man. And like going back to what we were talking about earlier, I forgot to mention this, like, like that's probably been for me the biggest reason why I kind of like, aside from myself, seeing my homie go down that fucking rabbit hole. To be honest, when I finally saw him, when he was like deep in that shit, where he sold all his music equipment, he hit me up late at night one time. He was getting chased by some pimps, like, we gotta go help him, like that kind of shit. When I like saw him again, like seeing him, like that shit messed with my psyche more than when I've seen, like I've mentioned this a couple times, I've seen people murdered. I've seen, that shit fucked with me more than that.
Because it's so close, probably.
Because it's like someone I love. It's like, goddamn.
I think that's why I never really got into like serious stuff, because like I have like a lot of cousins, and so like a lot of the times when they would be doing, like they would smoke weed or they go drink and stuff like that, like I would see it, and then like I would see them afterwards, and I'm just like, and then they would always get in trouble, and their grades would always like be slipping and stuff. But then I've thought about it to myself, like I've met people who like how you said, like something's too easy, so they use a drug. So I'm like, it would be a lot harder for me if they was all smoking, cutting class and all this kind of stuff, and then still getting straight A's. Then now I'm going with them, and it's like, well, how come I can't get straight A's? Such and such is doing it. Like I always think to myself, like good thing I learned from them, like, oh, I need to stay the straight and narrow to like succeed, versus if they wasn't studying and then like still like reaping all the benefits, it would have been so confusing from like me, but like, so I'm like, you don't need to study, you need to do all that stuff. I get A's. You don't need to do that, and then you're not doing that, and then you realize like we're not the same kind of person. That's what we don't learn the same kind of a thing. So I always like, oh damn, I'm lucky. I'm like lucky in that kind of aspect of it.
And you see those people, bro, that like, I don't know if you know that guy that runs hella. He used to be an alcoholic, and then one day he just like Forrest Gump, he started running.
He has running.
He has this thing. He has this thing. They actually like did like an episode on some Discovery Channel show for him, because he has this thing where how most people have a certain time your body hurts when you're running. His body doesn't have that chemical.
It's the lactic acid buildup.
So he can do it for hella.
It's like the people with superpowers.
Right?
Is that what that was called?
I forgot. Yeah,
like
he was
he
was on that too, but he was on some other Discovery show. But yeah, he was on that too, and what he said, he was drinking hella, and he just one day just decided, and he discovered he had that thing. So like I've seen that too with some people where they didn't pick, they had something and they just let it go like it was nothing. That's where I was like, damn, that's dope.
And some people do that. That's what I'm saying. Like my lady, she's just like, you know what, I'm done. You know, she knew that she was stuck in an addiction. Was just like, I'm done. I'm like,
I see like,
because I can't do that. You know what I mean?
I see like performers, like that's why I talk to like older performers. Like one of my homies, CB, that I mentioned, like he was on the show. Like he talked about opening for Public Enemy and shit, and seeing that shit everywhere, and when it's part of like your life, it's hard. It's hard. But like I see him now, and like he's like, I don't do drugs anymore, but cigars and coffee is my thing now. And that's what kind of helps. Like, have you thought about like finding an alternative that'll help you, like kind of
like running? You get a sense of euphoria.
Oh, you were hitting the gym a lot when I first met you. Yeah,
I was. And me being scrawny though, like the only way that it was working, because I go hard and I would try to eat, and just nothing would happen. So
you had like a time, like a certain time you eat a Pop-Tart, then you eat something else.
I had to eat like every 2 hours and stuff, and then finally, just like, I don't know if it has to do with addiction or not, but finally, eventually, I was like, you know what'll help this? And then started giving myself some shots in the ass, and that's when it, that's when I started gaining some weight. You know what I mean? So, taking a little bit of steroids and stuff, and that's honestly, that's the only way I got to like even where I am now. I was, you know, like standard weight was like 130 pounds at 5'10".
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just couldn't gain weight.
Creatine, dude.
Yeah.
Creatine.
Oh yeah, I did all that.
You did all that shit?
I did
Okay.
all that.
I wish I couldn't
Weight
gain weight.
gainers
That sounds like
and,
paradise.
Yeah, no.
Love to be under.
No, yeah, I had a cousin like that.
Everybody
Yeah.
says I'm polar opposite, bro.
Yeah.
It's
No.
the same
People say
thing,
I want to
but-
gain weight. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, not what.
No, yeah. No, for me, that's why I'm like I'll give you one of my tits, bro.
One of my, like, no lie, I always I wish my superpower was like I could like just give like 40 pounds to like a skinny ass person, like, here you go. And just like
I
kind
always tell people, if you lose weight, tell me where you lost it. I'm gonna go find it.
You know, it's crazy. When I was like 19, I dropped hella weight because I remember, and this is the fucked up part. I remember what I did, and I know it's possible, but
Right.
doing the work back then.
Same thing with addiction, bro.
Yeah.
Same.
Like, I lost weight. I was in shape. I have pictures from those times, man. Like, you can see my fucking bones, bro. It's the only time you've seen the bones in my face. I was doing boxing, and I was eating like chicken breasts and vegetables.
Yeah,
Like,
same.
You know, I was in good shape, man. And,
Yeah.
but you know, it just some of those things just they pile on and
Life, man.
Adult life.
Yeah, that's what people tell me. They was like, whenever you start playing football and stuff like that, or playing some kind of sport, you usually gain weight. I'm like, why you start gaining weight? You just keep working out, and then you're just like, oh, I got a job now, I'm studying, and then you like, why you figure out like that time, the same amount of time you had when you was an athlete. And then like I thought about it, right? I was like, well, okay, what was I doing when I was an athlete? I was like, well, I'll wake up and I'll eat this certain type of food, and then I'll go lift for 2 hours, and then like I'll go to class, and then after class, practice was 3 to 4 hours long. I'm like, oh, that's 7 hours. Now that's a job. Like that's where all that time
And
is
you're
going.
eating the same way.
Yeah.
And that's the mistake. It's like, you know, you forgot to cut the calories.
Yeah.
You know what I think, like, you know, they say once you become an adult, you see like, man, I wish I would have learned about taxes and how to do taxes in school and all this and that. But also, like, I think it should be like kind of taught like how to control emotions.
Yeah.
Because that's where really it comes from, man.
Yeah.
Like, that's where all that shit comes from. Like, they should teach that as you're like a kid. Because now that you go through a breakup, and I'll say this firsthand, bro, you could like a breakup could fuck up your whole life if you don't handle it.
It almost did. You know what I mean? Like, that's what took me out. And
losing a family member.
Yeah. You know, and they don't teach you none of that.
No.
You know what I mean?
Hoping,
It in theory, you know, this is one of the things that parents are supposedly good at.
Yeah, but parents also some of these things even parents, like, you know, like
culturally stuff.
I had a family member when his mother died. He had a good job. He was working. Was that union the machine? The ones that
the machine
local three? Three unions. The operators.
Operators. That's what it is.
He had a good job. He had his family, but when his mother died, he went downhill for him. Yeah. He didn't care about the kids anymore. His depression like got him to drinking, and now he's like you know, wandering the streets, and his kids are grown now, and it's fucked up to see, and that's all because of, you know,
emotions,
not being able to process how to handle like a big jab in the gut life gives you.
And sometimes you just need a therapist.
Yeah, but like
you know, like it all the emotional training in the world, like, Vulcans aren't real. Like, you know, let me just say that. But all the emotional training in the world,
isn't gonna work.
Isn't going to work for some people. That's what therapists are for.
But at least like the basic, like, you know.
Oh yeah.
Because I remember we fucking had when 9/11 happened, we had like therapists come to talk to us about that shit, like, because we, you know,
right now with COVID, it's like a lot of people start going to therapists, and they're harder to get. They're harder to get appointments and
they're
stuff.
Busy.
And that's tough. You know what I mean?
So I should become a therapist.
Got work for days. But I was going to touch on that subject too, as where like I've upset my girlfriend with or my fiance with slipping up this weekend. And but we were already talking about when things are good to go to a therapist. Start now. There's no reason why not to. You don't have to wait till things are terrible to get a therapist, when you can probably avoid some of that stuff,
because it'll like strengthen your mind.
And it's not a weakness thing either. A lot of people view it as like a you know, oh, you got issues, you go to a therapist, you got issues, like, Don't lie. You got issues too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
All of us have something.
Yeah. Everybody got something.
Yes.
I tried to flip it where it was like, I was trying to think of a joke, but also like it was a smart way to think about it. I was like, we all go to our homies for like when we need some type of advice. Right. Or we go, like sometimes we go to drink or we go to bartenders and stuff, like we go to bars. I was like, why not go to somebody who actually went to school for this shit? It probably could give you the best advice ever. That's why you should go to therapy. Sure. But then it was like, nah, I'm not going to see a therapist because it's like, I'm not crazy. And we have this negative stereotype towards it. It was like, nah. And then like you said, go when things are good. I went when I was in college in undergrad because it was just like a relieving way for me to talk to somebody for an hour and come up with like good strategies, like study habits, this other kind of things. And I had a mentor who like set me down. He was like, hey man, he was like, you think am I going to this party this weekend? I was like, what party? He's like, come on, there's always a party. I was like, maybe, I don't know. He was like, you remember where you were 3 weeks ago? That party you went to? I was like, nah. And he was like, you remember where you were academically 3 weeks ago? I was like, I was stressed. I had this paper. He's like, so that party might not be that important to go to. And then I talked about that same thing in therapy. And he was like, sometimes you should go to a party when you're done with work. Yeah. And then if you miss that party, then fuck it. He was like, you can go to the next one because there always will be a next one. Right. But like, will there be another assignment due, or you get an extension on it? No. So it's probably better to like get that assignment done, and then if it's time, then go to the party. And like, where were you? I'm like, I just completed this assignment, because then you finish the assignment and you still got to go to the end of the party.
Like, what are you celebrating?
Exactly.
Worry free. Yeah.
That's one of those things that I kind of implemented more. Like, I'm partying. I'll party like I used to just every weekend I wanted to party. Yeah. I want to just party, just to party. Yeah. Then I kind of changed where like, it's like the last time I partied hard was my parents' 40-year anniversary. Yeah. And we partied hard. That day we partied hard, and like it didn't feel as bad because I was at a party with some family members that are no longer with us. Yeah. And that kind of adds a little bit,
special.
We're at an hour now, bro.
That's fast.
That's fast. Fast, man. I don't know if I always open it up to guests if because sometimes our listeners they'll listen and then they might want to get in touch for whatever reason. Yeah. So where can if you're open to it, where can they find you, like on either social media or
shoot me a DM? Let me find my the Instagram one.
You'd be surprised, man. You'd be surprised.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I got my stuff on private, but the DM, I can always. It's Rudizzle ROO_DIZZLE. Okay. That's my Instagram.
That's your IG.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So they could reach out to you there and just
Yeah, I mean,
because we got a lot.
It don't got to be about drugs either. Anybody that's struggling and stuff, I feel like
for sure.
I feel like helping people helps me. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
So if it's something that needs to talk about something, I'm always.
And it may be unrelated. It may be about you mentioned Harley.
It
could be.
It could be.
Yeah. So but yeah, bro, thank you for opening up about
No, thank you guys.
Yeah, man.
You're welcome. Talking about it helps me.
Yeah, man. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Like for real, 6 months we'll check in and we'll both see where we're at.
Let's do it.
Because me and JD got a weight loss thing that we got to start doing. And so we got to check in
June. Or what?
Kind of. It's see who loses. Was it 20 or 30 pounds?
We said you said 40. I'm like 40. Yeah. But by June, fuck,
I've lost 40 before and within 5 months. That's why. Okay. But I haven't been doing shit now. So I'm like, it might be 30 or something.
Let's do 30.
Yeah. So it might be 30. Yeah.
But yeah, bro.
Let's check in. I'm down with it.
All right, man. Thank you guys for listening. That's been the Voice Party. We're out.